I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, a podcast that talks about everything X-Men, but we're here talking about the consequences of AvX. Cyclops is in prison. We're in Ozclops now, Gary.
Yep, it's Ozclops.
And this
Cyclops takes a gigantic shit on Toad's head.
This cover is very remarkable in that it's just him surrounded by a bunch of prison guys.
Yeah, with shivs, and two shivs make a big X.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch a lot of Oz? Did you watch that whole show when it was coming on?
I watched none of it. I just know that at one point a guy takes a shit on another guy.
Okay, that's the thing that came across. I don't remember if that's a David Simon joint, but I would really like to hear David Simon's reaction to that being like the only thing somebody knows about The Wire.
Oh yeah, that's not a David Simon thing, but it'd be very funny. It'd be like, I don't know what the equivalent would be, for The Wire, because The Wire didn't do anything quite that. It'd be like the only thing they know is the lesbian cop sex scenes.
Sure, yeah, like that's what you took away from The Wire. Yeah,
she's real police, and also that scene was fucking hot.
Dude, thank you for making The Wire. I jerk off to it all the time. Like, excuse me, do what? What is your problem, man?
With how David Simon is on Twitter, I think that we'd be lucky if we got a "What is your problem?" I think we'd get something a lot more annoying.
Oh, like a fucking Medium article about it or some shit. I remember joining Twitter and being like, "Oh, David Simon's here. Interesting. I want to see what's going on at that." No, thank you. No, thank you. I am. This was not a good plan for me to do at all. So,
I love those shows, but fuck, man. I say shows. It's really just The Wire and the Corner. I'm not like going to bat for John from Cincinnati. Oh no, is John from Cincinnati him or the Deadwood guy?
I think it's the Deadwood guy is in it. I don't know that the guy that made Deadwood.
The Deadwood guy went on to make Luck. That show where they killed all the
horses. Yeah, I think so. So he's probably
John from Cincinnati. Might be Carnival. I don't know.
Yeah,
Prestige TV.
It gets real hard. I do know that David Simon did Treme because that got a lot of good reviews.
Yeah.
And then I think he's currently doing, or maybe it's over with now. I forgot the name of it. It's the one about like the birth of porn in New York, where that the sex pest plays two guys. He plays twins. Why can't I remember his name? Seth Rogen's buddy, James Franco.
James Franco.
Yeah. But that show's pretty good, despite the Franco quotient.
Sex pest goblin.
Yeah. Consequences.
Let's get into Cyclops getting stabbed.
Yeah,
but this is mostly just a conversation. This issue.
I think that this is one of the coolest, one of the best like scenes between Cyclops and Wolverine that we've had in a long time. You mentioned this on an earlier episode that like this feels way better than like Schism did, even where they were supposed to have this argument about child soldiers and what it's worth to fight this war and win this war and things like that. And it feels like that this conversation has been building, and it's just so fucking solid. And I'm going to give huge props to the art, because the art is so dramatic in picturing just these two dudes sitting across from one another. It does such a good job of building tension, and I love this. I love this almost this entire issue.
It reminds me a little bit of the last thing that we covered in the show, which was Wolverine and Cyclops drinking, which was in New X-Men, where they go to the Hellfire Club, and like that's a great dialogue issue between these two characters. I like that version of these two characters more, like the Wolverine respects Cyclops version of X-Men before he's decided, not to. But it's a similar quality, similar caliber.
Yeah.
Very good. And I love, Cyclops being really smart and tactical, even in, non-battle situations.
Me too. Yeah. This is just a really good exploration of his character, especially his character as it exists right now, right? Like, because this isn't the Cyclops that we've known. Like, this dude has significantly changed, as we're going to find out over the course of this miniseries. And we're starting to see the glimmer of that now. And they start to talk, and they sit down, and, Wolverine's just chugging some beer and throwing it on the floor because he knows that's going to kind of annoy Cyclops a little bit, right? Like, Cyclops is a real fastidious guy.
He brought all the beers, but they're just for him.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I brought a six-pack. It starts off, he's just like, I don't want to talk to you. I need to talk to you. There's a difference. Sit down. Drinks those beers, and this is where, he's like, talks about Xavier, bringing him up. Cyclops starts saying he didn't want to do it. It wasn't me. I was phoenixed up. And Wolverine says it doesn't matter because you started walking on a path that you knew might end really shitty. And it was what Xavier taught you not to do that. You had your right wits and you still kept walking. You did it no matter what. Similar to like when people blame things like when they're like, it wasn't, it's not my fault, I was drunk. And then like the response is like, well, you decided to drink.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You were the one that put yourself in this situation to be able to make those decisions while you were drunk. And Cyclops says like, it kind of interrupts because, at this point Wolverine's going on a little bit of a roll here. He's getting his wind up, and Cyclops is like, hey, I'm not trying to dodge anything. This is definitely my responsibility. I wouldn't ever do that. Like, that's not what I'm built to do. Like, that's not even in the darkest part of me. I just did what I had to do. That's what you taught me. If anybody that would understand that, I think it would be you. And on top of that, you almost ruined the entire goddamn thing. And it very quickly switches so that Cyclops is now ranting of like, you had your new school of mutants because I was the one out there willing to protect you. Like, you weren't willing to fight and I was. And you rewarded me by trying to kill Hope, which is the person that fucking saved our race. Like, you giant asshole.
Yeah, you imagine what had happened if you had succeeded.
Exactly.
That. And he says, like, there are people who get to judge me, but you're not you. And this is even putting aside the fact that Wolverine's body count is higher than any superhero other than like the Punisher.
Sure. Yeah. And there's probably an argument that like the Punisher, like that's probably pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Wolverine's lived a lot longer.
Yeah, exactly. Frank Castle isn't 400 years old.
So the Wolverine just being, and Wolverine, I get that Wolverine isn't just saying, you don't kill. He's saying you don't kill Charles Xavier. And I also get that Wolverine resents Cyclops for convincing him to do X-Force and stuff. But it's not like the reason why he convinced Wolverine to do X-Force is because he's a dude who would do an X-Force.
Yeah.
So Cyclops like, but you're here to judge me, judge, jury, and executioner, right? You're going to kill me. Wolverine says, don't push it, and is trying to cool himself down, and Cyclops keeps needling him. And he's like, I know what it felt like to be Jean more than ever. Like, I understand her better than you ever will.
Yeah.
I've been in the Phoenix, and this is the last straw for Wolverine. He smashes the table, gets up to Cyclops and is about, pops claws and is about to kill him. And Cyclops just lays there.
Yeah. Does not even try to fight back. I also, before we get into like the rest of this, I think that we should talk about like just the different like body posture of these two characters. Like Cyclops looks like very like deflated and withdrawn, whereas Wolverine is the big hulking brute. But I love this kind of like almost nerdy Cyclops that we see. He's still like in shape or whatever, but like he's just like withdrawn and just looks like nothing matters basically.
He's probably not being like fed super well or anything.
Yeah, he looks a little wiry, I guess, and that's I don't like. I don't like it when Cyclops is all fucking beefcaked up. It really bothers me. But just the difference in these two characters and the two body postures as they're even sitting at the table. Also, they make this thing really dramatic. Like it's Wolverine smash this table apart, but I've got like 2 of these tables in my carport, dude. Like they're really easy to break. Like it's not a lot. Yeah. They're plastic tables.
I broke them before playing board games. It's not a big deal. But as Wolverine pops his claws and is about to kill Cyclops, he realizes like, wait, this is what you wanted me to do. And I'm just not a good X-Men fan that I've never noticed that it's snicked on the way out and snacked on the way in. Does that? Oh, absolutely, snick snack.
It's always snick snacked, and I just wasn't quite aware of it.
Not always.
Okay,
but this isn't the first time. Sometimes it's snick snicked. Sometimes it doesn't make a sound effect when it comes back in, but I have definitely seen snacked.
Okay.
Before.
Snacked is really good to me. I love it so much.
I think when he says snacked, I think little forks should come out and pierce Vienna sausages.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Don't bring out the snacked unless you're willing to bring out the snacks. That's what I say.
Yeah. Snacked for snacks. But I love this, he's like, oh, you want it, Breaking Bad vibes, right? Like, you're trying to suicide by Wolverine, but, Cyclops is still fighting the good fight in his head and being tactical. He's like, of course I want that. I can't do anything good for my cause. If I die, I'm a martyr. In a few years, some kid's going to show up at your school with a Cyclops was right t-shirt.
Fucking, yeah. And his name is going to be Jeremy Greer. Good. And he's not going to be a mutant. And he's going to be 42 years old.
Hell yeah. And then Cyclops continues because he's thought about every, eventuality. He's like, even if that doesn't happen, what I want doesn't matter. Like if I go to trial, there's going to be diminished responsibility or insanity because I was possessed by a cosmic entity. I might even walk free. So they're never going to let me go to trial. They're either going to disappear me, which Captain America wouldn't let them do, or I'm just going to stay here and the problem's going to go away. I'm going to get killed in an Oz fashion. I'd much rather have you do it. You're the best person I know at it, and it'll be quick.
God, and I love Wolverine's line here of like, Scott, only you can take all the fun out of wanting to murder someone you hate.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, and just thinking about all the eventualities. I love tactical Scott.
Yeah. Good shit. And then this is when Wolverine makes his pitch finally. Like they've gotten all of this kind of emotional stuff out. And I think that Wolverine is being a little tactical here too, of like getting the emotional stuff out there first and like getting everyone's blood up, and then going into like, hey, you need to help us bring in your team. Like we've got to get Magneto and Danger and Magic and Colossus and Namor. They've got to come in and have a conversation, or else like all of the kids that you're saying that you were protecting, they're going to have Sentinels come after them. Like because they are going to do that. And he implores him like, come on, like at least ask them, at least communicate with them, and don't let the rest of us down. Really playing to Cyclops' pride and his his desire to not only inspire the mutant race but protect it. Yeah.
Yep. It's a good tactic. And Cyclops doesn't fall for this. Nope. He starts trying to bargain. He's like, okay, so like, where's Emma? Where's Hope? If you tell me that, then maybe I'll bargain with you. And Wolverine's not there to bargain. Nope. And fuck you, Scott. Like, I'm out. Like, he knows that he's scheming.
It throws a fucking beer can at him, dude. It's so fucking rude.
Yeah. Asking where Hope was the exact wrong thing to do.
Yes.
Still on his bullshit.
He tells Scott to go to hell, and Scott says, I can, and I did. And dude, that's enough of a comic book. You could end the comic book at 18 pages right there and just be done. But we're gonna continue a little bit as Wolverine and his what is his friend? Is it Jake, or what is his friend's name? Do you know?
They name him at some point, but I can't remember.
Yeah. But basically,
he doesn't seem very important.
He's not.
Little orange man.
Yeah. He's basically being fridged for Cyclops at this point.
Yeah.
But we get the story of how this other mutant that was in the prison before Cyclops got there was, how he found his powers, which is he was being attacked by a bigger dude with a bunch of No More Mutants tattoos. And that's when his powers surged and he, blew up in a ball of purple light and then got the shit beat out of him by a bunch of guards.
Yep. And woke up there in a private cell.
Mm-hmm.
And this starts off, Cyclops starts saying, how can you be so upbeat about this? And they'll talk about it in the next issue where he's like, are you kidding me? This is awesome. I'm a mutant. Like, he's into it.
Yeah.
But Cyclops notices everything has gone quiet. Everyone left and the guards left.
Yep.
Which is a real thing that happens in prisons. I understand,
mm-hmm.
especially in private prisons. I've read that novella length, investigative journalism thing about private prisons. That's like stomach churning.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they basically just have allowed several convicts in with shivs, including the guy that the mutant, his powers manifested on, to kill them unsupervised.
Yeah.
And this ends with the kid being like, oh, they're going to kill. And Cyclops, no, that's not the word. Not kill, martyr.
Got him.
And holds his arms out. It's so cool. Like, he doesn't end up actually going for this.
No.
But it's such a baller line.
I know it's a know nothing character and he's just a big ball of muscular hate, but the guy, like the Shiv dude that beat up the other guy and that's now coming for Cyclops, is just full of like anti-mutant tattoos. Like, you can see on his arm in the last panel where it says something like, we will destroy the children of the atom. And I'm just like, what's your story, dude? Like, what happened? Who did this? What was her name? And what did she do to you?
Can you imagine being the tattoo artist?
Like, what?
Can you make it say, we will destroy the children of the atom? Is that a band? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. And we will, and you will know us from the trail of the children of the atom that we leave in our wake.
Yeah, we're going to give you a Godspeed tramp stamp, you big sack of motherfucker. Yeah, it's pretty silly. But again, like, man, I don't know that I've read like a superhero Oz comic.
Yeah, this is good. This is good stuff.
Cyclops in jail is a super cool idea.
And I like this, like, like insight into Cyclops' mind, because over the next 3 issues, like dude's gonna be doing some shit. Like some stuff changes, and it makes me real excited to read more Cyclops in this era to see how it ends up doing. Of course, until we get to the eventual, like what feels like a total reboot of everything in Hoxpox. So
yeah, the Krakoa era where Cyclops is like a fun-loving, dude.
But I like my
and
Dark
I haven't
Clubs.
read. I fell off of that. It's on my list, but that could definitely change.
Yeah.
So
I haven't read any of that stuff just because it's hard enough keeping one timeline of X-Men straight. So I didn't want to try to confuse myself on this podcast to do stuff. But
same. Like I was just like putting it off because I know it'll be there. It's also something too where the comic podcast I listen to, I only listen to one and it never comes out. It only covers a couple things, but I'm just attached to it. They talked about it and they were saying how there's definitely like an end that Matt Fraction had for the story, but the editors and other writers said like, hey, this is a really fun like universe. We'd like to tell stories here for a little while. So instead of getting to its climax of that stuff, it's chilled, is my understanding. Like they're doing other kinds of stories in it, and that's fine. Like I don't mind that, but I wanted to see basically how that House of Cards fell down. Like as soon as the X-Men show up in movies, they're going to reboot and be a school again with Professor Xavier. I'm almost certain. I just want to see how it happened. Yeah, because the Krakoa era is really interesting.
Also, just to save us some email, you mentioned Matt Fraction. I think you meant Jonathan Hickman on some of that stuff.
I did mean Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah, so just to save us somebody trying to correct you, like you don't know what you're doing, I'm going to do it for them. So
I get those guys mixed up sometimes.
I mean, I looked at their comic books writers. I've never met any of them. I don't know what any of them look like. So
yeah, I've met Matt Fraction, not Matt, but I went to a reading Matt Fraction did, but I do not know what Jonathan Hickman looks like. Anywho, that's it for this issue. We're going to be back next week with the rest of Consequences and then our final AvX wrap up.
Yep, and then we will never talk about a situation where the Avengers are fighting the X-Men again, right?
It's like. Yeah. I don't know. If you're listening to this, thank you very much. If you want to support us and get bonus episodes from the network, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Yes, please do. Your support means a lot to us. Some of you may know that we've been doing a pretty big change in the way that we provide you all of the exclusive content that you get when you support the network. Please bear with us with some technical difficulties as we're doing that. If you have questions, there's some lengthy post on the Patreon that has a lot of questions and that have already been answered. Please read through that, Control F through that, and if you still need help, reach out to me or Cole, and we will try our best to get you taken care of. And in the meantime, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much for supporting us. It means a lot.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and see you next time.
See you later, everybody. Bye.